and I put some things in, so now here's the key thing. I'm not saying everyone has to do this, but once I renounced and repudiated any presumption of being a United States citizen, I went on to further establish for the police officer, whoever may be reading this document, what my nationality is. I says, I further understand that I am not deportable as a result of my possessing freehold status by inheritance and primogeniture as a Moorish American national and indigenous descendant of the Moroccans born in America with the blood of the ancient Moabs from the land of Mon. I hereby incorporate by reference my treaty of peace, signed at Mequinez, September 16, 1836, entered into force January 28, 1837. That's the Peace and Friendship Treaty. They call it the Treaty of Peace now. Now, I'm not going to spend too much more time on this document. The good thing is when I, tell you how we're going to use these things. But the next part is the U.S. And I should say the U.S. law governing treason and excess jurisdiction. This is pretty much, this is just added in here so that if you are ever trespassed upon, that you can file this into the record and it becomes a part of the agreement, if you will. And this is just, the rest of this document is nothing but very strong case law and statutes that deal with a court that wants to overstep its jurisdictional boundaries. I'll just read a couple of these because this is excellent case law for anyone who professes to be a sovereign or something of the such. Let's see. Under the United States Republic constitutional system of government and upon the individuality and upon the individuality and intelligence of the citizen, the state does not claim to control one's conduct to others, leaving one the sole judge as to all that affects oneself. And there's the case law that supports that. Let me read another one. The most important is jurisdiction of the subject matter. No person can be punished for a public offense except upon legal conviction in a court having jurisdiction thereof. In other words, the court in a criminal trial, like the court in civil proceedings, must have jurisdiction of the subject matter. Here's another one. When a judge does not follow the law, i.e., they are a trespasser of the law, the judge loses subject matter jurisdiction, and the judge's orders are void, of no legal force or effect. And this is Supreme Court case law. Okay, these are all of these are this strong. Here's another one. When a judge acts, when judges act when they do not have jurisdiction to act, or they enforce a void order, they become trespassers of the law and are engaged in treason. And this is, I believe that's the Supreme Court case. But anyways, all the case laws is in here. You can check these out. Let's read another one. The United States federal statute permits any citizen to file a lawsuit in the federal courts to obtain a court order requiring a federal official to perform a mandatory duty and to halt unlawful acts. This statute is Title 28 USC, so that's actually a statute. You can go all the way down here. This is everything you need. Title 18 USC subsection 3. Accessory after the fact. Whoever knowing that an offense against the United States had been committed receives, relieves, comforts, or assists the offender in order to hinder or prevent his apprehension, trial, or punishment is an accessory after the fact. Now these are all perfect, especially when you see the next document that asserts the right to travel with the fee schedule, because you will see how once you make the officer aware that he's about to potentially trespass on your right to travel by not backing off, once he walks that plank, he's out there by himself. If the judge or anyone else for that matter tries to get him out of that contract, then they can be held liable. And all the case law that you need to keep the judge in check and to keep the public officials in check, it's in here, back to back, right to the point. You don't have to dig and sift for it. It's all in this document. I wish I could read through the whole thing, but I encourage you to do so. I spent several hours preparing these documents, and everything is in one place. So enjoy it. And that's for my premium subscription members at thttrust.org. And I'll provide a way for, I'll perhaps provide a way for others to get this document too if you need it. Now here goes the best document that I've saved for last well, kind of saved it for last. And where is it at here? Let's bring it up. Oh, where is it at? And this is the grantor's assertion of the John Alex Doe trademark right to travel. Now, this document pretty much is just a document that's expressed in the form of affidavit saying that the grantor and the settlor for the trust asserts their right to travel, right? And so I'll just read a few of these case laws. It is my understanding as follows. That international law and my status allows me to travel without obligation to possess a driver's license or vehicle registration, and that my right to travel, the right to mode of conveyance, the right to locomotion, are absolute rights, and police cannot make void the exercise of rights. And here you go, supporting case law. Here's another one. The case of highways for the purpose of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and natural beings cannot be deprived. More case law. Let me skip over some here. State police power extends only to immediate threats to public safety, health, welfare, etc. And there's some case law there. Now, even with the Department of Transportation DOT number, this is it's consistent, because the only thing is, as long as you're not a threat to public safety, there is no other reason to be stopped. You don't have to carry a license or a certification or anything like that. Here's something else, another good case law. If any tribunal court finds the absence of proof of jurisdiction over a person and subject matter, the case must be dismissed. That kind of really doesn't fit on this document. This is the right to travel document, so I got to do a little shifting around, but when you download these documents, they will be complete. And let's see, let's read one more in here. Okay. The right of a citizen to travel upon public highways and to transport one's property thereon, either by carriage or automobile, is not a mere privilege which a city may prohibit or permit at will, but a common right which he or she has under the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay? So there you go. That's all the case law. And here's the kicker. So let's read the last part of this. The recipient of this notice, their agents and principals are given 14 days to respond or make a proper answer. The failure to respond constitutes your understanding and acceptance to be held commercially liable for the for any breach of trust and or violations of rights as affirmed and in accord with the attached fee schedule. So now you have a fee schedule down here. And by the way, we're gonna talk about next how you use these documents so that they become binding upon the police officer, and I'll give you some ideal scenarios of how you may want to use these. But here's the fee schedule: stunning, macing, tasering, pepper spray, clubbing, $100,000, or is that $100 million? Because I don't play that. Okay, I'm just not for that. Violence, assault, physical harm, $100 million right off the top. False arrest, kidnapping, and forced disappearance, $100,000 just for the act, right? Unauthorized search of person or property. You know, if they pull you out the car and they start searching your pockets or they start searching your car, they're engaging in a commercial agreement with the estate, and that's a $50,000 liability that they agreed to. On that note, make sure, and all these police officers, they carry business cards now. So be very cordial, and even before you really hit them with the fee schedule and everything else, make sure that you get their badge number and make sure you ask for their business card, and you sit there and write that information down so that they're aware that you're writing it down and they know that you're serious, right? Handcuffing, fingerprint photographing, that's all in the fee schedule. Compelled autographs, signatures, endorsements, you know, if they try to get you, if they force you under duress or coercion, which is vis compulsive, which you see down here. If they force you to do that, to sign something, there's the fee involved. For towing, removal, deprivation of property, if they try to tow your vehicle, I have even per diem in here, so if you're incarcerated or detained, that they can pay $10,000 a day for that. Or if they want to question you and ask interrogatories or dispositions, charge them for that. Because mind you, you've already asserted your common law right to travel, so unless, you know, if this hasn't been rebutted and they acquiesce to this, this fee schedule will be binding upon them. We're going to talk more about that. I added this one today. ordering, issuing written or verbal orders. I put this in here because, a lot of times, police still want to give you orders, right? Even when they realize that, you're not carrying the state ID, they want to say, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. It's like a little ego tripping thing. So I even put in here because, just like, William Faust talks about, if you go to a restaurant and you make an order, guess who's got to pay for it? The person who orders is the person who has to pay. So if a police officer is going to make demands upon me to get out my car, to go stand over here, or to stand behind the car, or to sit in the back of his car, I'm going to say, hey, is that an order? And if he says yes, and I'll say, coming right up, sir, because I already know that he's tied into this contract. Okay. Now I also have for delay. Now this is a key one, and I think you guys will like this. For any delay exceeding 10 minutes, I have $100 per minute after that. So if he stops me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be handing him a copy. Well, it's going to be a copy of this whole right to travel, the rescission of signature and repudiation of obligation of citizenship. I'm going to be handing him all those documents, and I'm going to say, with all due respect, officer, I want to let you know that this is the maritime international contract, the agreement between myself and you. This is the agreement that's on file between the state of whatever and my estate. Your boss knows about this. So I just wanted you to know so that you don't get yourself tied to any liability, because this conversation, this traffic stop, may not exceed 10 minutes, because after 10 minutes, I'll have to bill you $100 an hour. I mean, you will be billed $100 an hour because that's the agreement. Now you got to work on your tact and be cordial when you say it, but this is just, you don't have to invoke this, but this is just if you feel that your rights are being violated. This right here is your charging instrument, okay? That's what an affidavit is. An unrebutted affidavit is a charging instrument. So we put these documents in a record, we give them 14 days to respond, and if they don't respond, now we have unrebutted affidavits, and they become binding upon the public trustees. I'll talk a little bit more about that next, but let me get on to the very last document, and then I'm going to show you how you use these and how you ensure that how you make sure that these trustees become a party to this agreement. Now, this is how I would use those documents that we just discussed, right? We just discussed the grantors and settlers' assertion of the John Alex Doe right to travel, and the affidavit of non-United States citizenship, national status, and the law governing treason and excess jurisdiction. So, a lot of times, you got to get these filed into the public record first. But before you do that, what I recommend is you take these documents, which they're already prepared for you, and once you sign these two documents, the grantor's assertion of the right to travel and the affidavit of non-United States citizen national status, you sign those in front of a notary. And this is your presentment instrument. This is where you give the Department of State notice. You give the Department of Transportation notice. You give the Department of Justice notice. Everyone who, the Sheriff's Department, notice. Secretary of State, notice. Attorney General, notice. You give all these people notice, right? Because you have to give them time to respond. Because it's not a contract until you get their acquiescence, which means you have to present this to them, you give them 14 days to respond, and then after the 14th day of their non-response, you certify their non-response, and now you have an agreement. That's why I have one letter, but it goes to a distribution list, which is the first enclosure. And if we scroll down here, this is not the right distribution list. These have to change. But I want to show you why this distribution list is like this. Because I put the distribution list, and I'm going to put an address of everyone that I'm going to present this to, right? Now what I do here is there's the little certified mail strip that I'll place right here, right? So I can keep track. So I'll send all of these out on the same day, and then I'll wait about 16 days, or maybe I'll wait 17 or 18 days so that I can go check these numbers and see if they were all received. Now, if I didn't get any response from any of these people, then in accordance with my default clause down here, I have their acceptance. Here it is. You are hereby given 14 days to respond or make a proper answer with proof of your claim. All statements, rebuttals, and responses must be made in writing. and verified in the presence of an authorized officer or notary public, signed and sworn to under penalty of perjury, including the name, title, office, and telephone number of any official making such response. I am relying on your silence and your non-response as tacit acquiescence to the statements and facts as presented in the attached affidavits and notices. Okay, so there you go. Now what I do is, say, I send it to all the right departments. I have all the certified mail numbers here. About 20 days go by, I check, I don't have any responses. So then I'll create a certificate of non-response for each of these organizations. And you don't have to send that to them. That's just kind of for your records. An affidavit of non-response, you may want to call it. And say if you've presented this to 10 departments, then you may want to attach 10 affidavits of non-response. And once you have that, then I will take the whole package and file it into the public record. Okay? Now, and so what does that prove? Well, that proves that you served the sheriff and he was given notice. And I also put in here, notice to principal is notice to agent. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Basically, the sheriff and everybody that works for him, the governor and everyone that works for him, the chief of police and everyone that works for him, everybody's been given notice. And by tacit acquiescence, they've all agreed to it. So now you put proof of service and the certification of non-response in the public record. And once you do that, of course, they'll put the recording information somewhere on the document. And then you get a couple of printouts of that. I would say keep a bunch of them in your glove compartment, right? So that way, as soon as you get pulled over and you want to, you don't have no plates on your vehicle, or you did something like we expressed earlier, you have affidavits of identification, this gives you a foundation this gives you a foundation so that you can assert your rights and your claim without having to be on the offensive, because you can let the police officer know, hey, I'm in complete compliance with everything that you want me to do, but he's subject to that fee schedule. And remember, that stop can't last more than 10 minutes. There's no searching of the vehicle. There's no handcuffing. There's no interrogation, because all of those things constitutes fines that he's already bound to under the fee schedule. So the only thing you really want to be doing is asking for his name, asking for his address, asking if he has an oath to the United States Constitution, asking if he's bonded. Just think of it. Make your own protocol. But knowing how to use these documents will help you. Now, it'll be too far advanced for me to go into how you use these documents like in a court situation, because we'll have to speculate too much in order to get there. But we also offer coaching at thctrust.org. This is Tex Masan. I offer coaching, and many of you are savvy enough and you will know how to use these documents yourself. But more than likely, I think if you're calm and you're not combative and you know what's in these documents and it becomes second nature to you, and you develop your own protocol by asking yourself, what can they potentially ask me? How can I potentially respond? How do I remain calm? By going through this ahead of time and putting your own protocol in place, you will be successful. You're speaking to someone that has a lot of experience. And most of my experience, because, every time after the fact, I evaluate what I did wrong, what I did right, what I can do better. And that's how these documents were created. So this is a really fortified way for you guys to exercise your right to travel. You can get these documents at www.thctrust.org. And let me see. Before I say thanks for watching, let's see if there's anything else I need to touch on in here. I think I nailed it. But let me talk about this last thing, something I'm recently finding out. I believe you can file this document in your county. You can file it in the state, but I recommend that you file this in the district court. When you file things like this in a district court, you want to file it as a miscellaneous filing. What they actually do is they open up a case. Now, I talk about filing the will because I've received so much difficulty and so much flack trying to file the will in the probate court or in the state court, which is where it should be filed. I had went on and decided to file it as a miscellaneous filing in the federal court. It's like $40-something. Well, come to find out, that's the best thing I did, because when you make a miscellaneous filing in the federal court, what they do is, that recording information that you see on your document, Well, that's actually a case number. And what that means is if you filed the will, or even if you file this document as a miscellaneous filing, you can file anything into that case number therefore, and it does not cost you any more money. See, that's something that I just found out. But what you have to do is you have to cross-reference that case number. So since I have a will on file and it evidences my estate, I will file these documents in that case by cross-referencing it so I can file them for free and they'll be on the public record. Now, I'm not necessarily sure that by filing these documents in the miscellaneous case filing that constitutes on the public record. I do believe it does because, you know, when they look for certain maritime liens and things like that, they look within the district, and that means what's filed in the federal court. But whether it's on public record or not is a little irrelevant if you do it this way. That's why I told you present them with these items first, right? Wait till the 14 days go by, then get your certificates of non-response. Because when you file this with the certificates of non-response, public record or not, we have evidence and proof that all the relevant parties have received proper notice. So thank you for watching again. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Make sure you visit www.thctrust.org. And again, these documents are available for download for the premium subscription members. And if you would like these documents, go ahead and sign up for and become a premium subscriber. You can sign up just one time, maybe for 1 month, download these documents and then go about your way, or you can just continue to subscribe and help support our mission. Again, I put a lot of work in these documents, and if anyone has any questions on how you use these, then let me know. But by the way, say that you did get locked up and everything else and you found your way in court, of course you have to bring your affidavit letting them know that you presented the officer a copy of all these documents, and you will have to launch a counterclaim. Because when you launch a counterclaim in federal court, these documents are already in the public record. So it's going to be very hard for them to get outside of that. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't had to do this before, but I'm fairly certain that this is just foolproof. If an officer really wants to trespass against your estate, when you present him with this, you're not going to have a difficult time pretty much removing him. You might have a difficult time collecting those fines. Actually, I really don't think you will have a difficult time doing that either. But I think that officer's career would be pretty much done if he does not recognize what you're doing and he lets his ego step in. So thank you for watching, and I hope you learned and enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something and enjoyed this video.